Hello there, sir.
Good morning from Texas. It's afternoon there.
That's right.
I see you have a new government now.
Yep, things have changed somewhat.
But here's some good news. The sun still came up. This means that there is a God in heaven who is orchestrating world events, and he is sovereign over all that is happening, and his counsel shall stand and none shall stay his hand. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that news, frankly. That's I've known that ever since I've ever heard it the first time, and
Yes, but a lot of people get nervous when they see change and things that they don't quite understand and not sure what the future is. So the good news is that God is the future.
That's past and the present as well.
Amen. So how is your family?
How's my family? Everybody seems to be okay. We're going on a vacation next week, now that you mention it, so we won't be meeting next week.
Oh, my heart is broken.
I wouldn't want to do that. Okay, we'll meet anyway.
No. Are you able to say where you're going, or is that private, or what?
My family, my kids who have all grown up. I mean, my youngest, I think, is 17. Pretty sure that's her age now. Yeah. So they all got together and decided they wanted to go to a villa in the north, in the Galilee.
Okay.
So they found one, and all 15 or so of us are staying there. We need probably about 6 or 7 rooms or something like that. And it's got a private. It's got a private pool, and they're all making up plans for the food and the stuff that we're doing. I just get to come and hopefully enjoy.
I love the Galilee. It's so beautiful up there.
Sure is. Yeah.
I sent you an email a while back, and I don't know if you got it or not. That I found my notes on that earliest Zoom meeting that we all had together when I couldn't get the video to work, and you were wanting to publish that. I don't know if that's still something you're wanting to do or not.
Oh, of course it is. When I tell people that I want to do something, that doesn't change. The question is when I'm going to get around to it, and that depends on a few other people and a few other technical things, and we'll get around to it.
So I didn't know if you wanted me to take those notes and put them into a little document and send it to you or not.
Did you or didn't you? I didn't follow.
Okay, I found my notes that I had for that meeting, and my email question to you was, did you want me to put them in like a little document, text document, kind of reformat it or whatever, as like a little article and send it to you?
You know, that would be very helpful. If it's like an article, if you're talking about, well, yes, either it's not such a big deal, in which case it's not such a big deal, or it's a whole article in which it would be in which case it would be very helpful.
I'll be glad to do that when I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll bet you'll remember to do it before I forget about it. So
I'll try.
There we go. More.
So how is Israel doing with the change in the government these days?
Hey, I'll tell you, I'm, as you remember, a member of Prime Minister Netanyahu's Likud party.
Yes.
I'm a member of the Central Committee, and I'm one of the more active ones. But on the other hand, I'm a real lover. I don't like to make fights. And it seems to me that Netanyahu has chosen to do the, basically he, as opposed to the United States, where a president who loses an election goes home, which ultimately it seems to me that that's what Trump has done. I mean, from time to time, he's active or he's expressive, but he's not nearly as expressive as he used to be. Of course, I think they've blocked him from most of his social media sites, so that's a different story. But Netanyahu is now the head of the opposition. And in Israel, and most places where they have something called the opposition, like for example, if there's a majority of Republicans or right now I don't know how it's going on in America, but if the president is, let's say, Democrat, and there's a majority of Democrats in the House or the Senate, and there's a minority, so they call that the minority leader, I think they call it, right?
That's correct.
So I'm guessing that the minority leader, he or she often mostly will say, "You guys are doing it all wrong, and you're wrong, and you're bad," and no. So in Israel, they did the same thing, and so now Netanyahu, after showing us after 12 years what a great prime minister, great leader of the coalition he is, now he's going to show us what a great leader of the opposition he can be.
Okay, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, well, I don't like being in the opposition. I don't like being in the. Who likes being in the opposition? Nobody likes being in the opposition. But for some people, they're okay with the fire and brimstone that an opposition leader would say that that's his job. Again, the opposition leader's job is certainly not to say, you guys are doing a pretty good job, but I think you can do a better job. No, I don't think he's not going to get any votes today. He's got to get them out of there. And I of course, would love to see Netanyahu as prime minister. I would love to see, in principle, a different government, a more right-wing government. I'm concerned about some of the left-wing leanings of this government. On the other hand, in general, I like the idea. In general, I'm not an opposer so much. And if these guys won the election, whether or not fair or square, bottom line is they're elected, and give them a chance. The 100 days of grace is something that they say. On the other hand, the problem is that in all my WhatsApp groups, my fellow Likud activists are mostly, this is terrible. They lied, and they're gonna lie more. And we're no. So I'm mostly quiet there. I'm not going to, God forbid, leave the Likud at this point. On the other hand, I'm not going to be able to lead the opposition demonstrations. I don't like being in demonstrations.
So you're going on vacation rather than going on a demonstration.
I guess so. I prefer vacations over demonstrations. Yes, I'll buy that.
I like that. That's good. Very good. Well,
but again, Richard, like what you said before, God is in charge, and I don't know what He has in store. But I don't know what He has in store ever. That's what makes Him God and me just me. That's what makes Him God and me Gid.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
And that's good, yeah. But I think we might have some ups and downs. We've had ups and downs with Netanyahu at the helm as well. And but I know that at the end of the ups and downs, we're gonna have an up, and that's where it's gonna end.
Very good. I like that. Very good.
Until then, I'm optimistic.
Now, you have every right to be optimistic, because you have a God in heaven who's working on earth on your behalf.
Yes, but I can only be optimistic if I believe that He's working on my behalf, and if I trust Him to work on my behalf. There are too many people who don't have that trust, and But
I was talking to you, and you do have that trust.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'm extremely trustful and confident
Very
that
good.
that God is in charge.
You have to
And
start there. You know, that's the starting point, I think, for people. That there's a God in heaven. He's the one true God, not the gods of the world, but the one in the Bible, and that he has a sovereign plan and he's working it out. But when you work with human beings, life can be messy.
but that's the hand we've been dealt. We've got no choice but to deal with other humans, have we?
And it's a blessing to do that.
Blessing.
It's a blessing to deal with other human beings, because what else do we have to do?
Well, you know what? I have to tell you, Dr. Booker, I was about to call you Rabbi because I want to share my heart with you a bit. If you're already here and I've got nobody else to talk to, I had a tough day.
I'm sorry.
Because besides the fact that my internet didn't work so well and that I can manage. I have tough days all the time, but mostly I had a tough day because somebody on social media expressed themselves extremely offensively to me. It's really harsh to even mention it. I'm hesitant to even mention it. And if you would have just said it to me, if you would have called me a name, okay, I would have said, "Yalla, another crazy is calling me a name." But this is somebody that I had liked on social media, and he liked me back. We were like friends.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And I now realize that he is calling my entire social group. I don't know if I have to be so mysterious, but a group that I feel that I'm part of, he was using horrific words against this group. And I said, "Are you talking about me?" He said, "Well, no, maybe not everybody in this group, but in general, that's the group. That group is this horrific." It just really pained me. I mean, again, I'm not going to repeat that word.
What is his agenda? Why does he say these things?
Because he really thinks that my group is that horrific. Evidently.
And why does he think that? Do you know?
I think it's because he is part of a certain political side, and he thinks he evaluates that anybody on the other political side is horrific, and anybody who isn't horrific is an outlier, that it's enough that you say, "Well, I'm not talking about you." It's like these, Jews are bad, but what about me? "Oh, I'm not talking about your kind of Jew. You're an okay Jew. It's the other Jews." Really, why must people be so hate-filled?
Peggy and I will be 80 years young on our next birthday.
Are you born on the same day?
No, she's 6 months older, but I caught up with her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Age-wise, and so we have been in the ministry together for over 40 years. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity to forgive or be bitter when you're in ministry, because you're working with people all the time. And if you're trying to serve people as best you can, you're doing that unconditionally, and they strike back at you for these reasons you're talking about. So you have many opportunities to either forgive or be bitter. And it's an opportunity to test our hearts, to see if we can, with God's help, rise above the offenses that people give to us constantly all the time, it seems like, and not to take offense. Oh, it's not so easy, but with God's help, we can. Winston Churchill had a way with words, as you probably know. And he said one time, if you stop for every dog that barks at you, you'll never get to your destination. So that's so true. And if I can bring up, Yeshua made the similar statement, which is misunderstood by most people. He said, turn the other cheek.
Okay.
Well,
That's not
this
the
is
same thing at all.
this
What,
well,
what-
yes, yeah, well, yes, it is. It's a figure of speech, and there are many places in the book of Proverbs that says the same thing, but a little different words. But what he meant was, don't strike back at needless quarrels that have no impact on your life. Just go on with it and love people, and don't always be taking offense at every little thing somebody says ugly about you, because that's the way life is. And if you stop for every dog that barks at you, you'll never get to your destination. It's the same statement. So somewhere along the way, you have to have this revelation that life can make you bitter or better. And with God's help, at least my first choice is at least to try to be better, not bitter, when there's offenses. What we have learned, and we're not perfect practitioners, so please don't misunderstand, but what we have learned is you cannot have a place for offense in your heart, because it will make you bitter, not better. So with God's help only, we try to love unconditionally, no matter what anybody says about us or does to us. It's not an easy choice. It's not an easy thing to do. We had to have help from above to do that.
I hear that. And that's not the first time I've heard that. And usually when I hear Christians saying, oh, I love, I felt like it was, first of all, sometimes just a saying like, God bless you, and it wasn't really in their heart. And second of all, I sometimes saw it used as a goodbye, sir, like after offending and saying, but I still love you. And that's, whoa, like, hello. But now that I'm hearing what you're saying, it seems to me that you're saying like this. I have a choice if I'm being offended. Well, wait a second. I have interactions with people. Some people, it is enjoyable to interact with them because they're not offending me. They're my good friends. And it's great. We have a lot in common and we're just enjoying that friendship like you and me.
I feel that way.
So I naturally have that good feeling. You want to call that feeling love? We'll call that love. So I love you. Great. But that's you. What about that guy over there that's so horrific? Now, either I can fight back at him, respond in kind, or I can say, goodbye, Felicia. I think that's how they pronounce it. In other words, I don't have anything to do with you, and I'm not going to let that barking dog keep me from getting to my destination.
There you go.
Or, and this is what I think that maybe you mean, I'm going to surprise that person and say, you know what? You've tried to offend me. Maybe you didn't try to offend me specifically in this specific case that's still fresh on my mind, but you tried to offend my entire group. But you know what? I'm gonna put that aside, and I'm just going to love you. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna put that aside, our disagreement. Let's agree to disagree. But I'm gonna love you for other aspects of you, some of which are clearly lovable. You are created in the image of God. I must love that.
That's it.
And I think that if and I've had a chance. Besides this specific individual, these past couple of weeks, I've been engaging with a lot of anti-Israel, anti-Zionists. Let's use that term. For some strange reason, I decided to be a masochist these past couple of weeks. So if instead I would say, listen, we disagree on that point. Again, the people that I'm engaging with, I just had a 2-hour-long conversation with somebody who had questions, and he disagreed with some things, or he couldn't understand, whatever. But the people who are just trying to get at my goat, I'll say, listen, we disagree on that, but that's okay. We're different people, but we have things in common, and I love the things that we have in common. I love in you the things that I love. Sorry for the tautology. I'm going to try that next time.
That's wonderful, because the other choice is the danger of a root of bitterness taking us place in our hearts. And so this person's anger towards you will be ruling over you, and it doesn't even bother him at all. But he's gotten a hold of you, and that's not a good place to be. So also
Counterproductive.
Yeah, you have to cut that out. You just can't let there be a place in your heart for that seed to take root.
I was wont to quote, I don't remember who I'm quoting, but I would say, if you get angry at somebody who's done something stupid, then you're punishing yourself for his stupidity.
That's very true. And his stupidity will take root in your heart. And so you're the one who suffered, not him,
right,
not or her. So the person.
Don't get angry.
Also, there's even a bigger challenge with all of this is the other person may have a part truth to what they're saying, and that we can't see. So sometimes, although we don't like to do this because we like to think that we're above ever being wrong about anything, that the person may have a perspective about something that we haven't seen. So maybe we, before reacting in a hurtful way,
yes,
maybe we can consider what the person is saying. Is there some truth to what they're saying? And if there is, we can, in a loving, positive way, agree with them to a point. And this oftentimes will disarm somebody's anger against us when we can come alongside and say, you may have a point there. I'm going to think about that. And if I see what you're saying is true, I'm going to try to do better next time. That disarms a lot of arguments.
Again, I'm talking about if a person is let's use the word that's coming into the easiest phrase in my mind is anti-Zionist. And everybody knows that. And we're talking about social media. We're not talking about my neighbor who who's upset because I ran the lawnmower at 1:45 instead of 1. I don't know.
I understand now. This is very good. I understand what you're talking about. This is not somebody you have a relationship with.
Right. I have, but you know what? Maybe you can talk about people that I do have relationships with, because I do have in mind people that I have relationships with, but the relationship is not the best. I'll tell you what. Let's take a break now and start for the next half-hour program. It's a little shorter than half hour. It's only 25 minutes, but that's okay. And this is something that we're really getting to meet. After about a couple of months and a few hours of talking, we're finally getting to something that sounds very interesting that we can actually do something about. How's that, sir?
You mean the previous times we've been together have not been interesting? Are you trying to offend me?
Let's see how you respond to that. What I mean is that the beauty of the talk about God that we have had, and the way that can impact our own lives, our relationship between ourselves and God, and our relationships between ourselves and ourselves, that's the easy part. And our relationships between our friends and ourselves, that's really easy. But here's a chance to see how we can actually take some wisdom from the Torah and from God and apply it to things that are really hard in our lives.
It's very true.
That's what I mean. So before we conclude this segment, just remind me what we were talking about.
Not taking offense.
That's the general term. Okay, just 1 second. I'm not going to turn off the camera until I remember what I actually wanted to apply. It was how to consider our relationship with actual people that we have relationships with, not haters on the internet, but my actual neighbor. How can I actually love my neighbor? I'm talking about the one that I don't love. That's the question, I think. Right?
Right.
Okay, so we'll be back in a moment.